Good day, students. Welcome to our online learning discussion. This is your subject, Social Studies, Grade 8A and 8B. Your teacher here, Miss Michelle Joy. This video will serve as a recap makeup class, especially for the students who aren't able to attend our class online. Let's proceed to our online learning discussion now. So class, before we proceed to our online learning discussion, I would like us to have a short review or recap of the last topics that we have discussed, which are the following. First, we have discussed about map. So a map is a picture or representation of the Earth's surface, showing how things are related to each other by distance, direction, and size. Maps have been used for centuries. A person who creates map as a profession is called a cartographer. And then we have studied about who make maps or map makers. So in your book class, we have the surveyor, photogrammetrists, geographers, and the cartographers. Cartographers are people who make maps for their living. So all the data or information gathered by the surveyors, photogrammetrists, and geographers are being handed to cartographers so that they can make a very accurate map. So class, for the objectives of the lesson, students must be able to know why do we need maps, and students must be able to know what a map scale is. So in here class, we are going to study the importance of maps, and I expect that at the end of the lesson you already know the importance of maps and of course what a map scale is and the two types of map scales. So class, the topics that we have are the following. Letter A, why do we need maps? And letter B, what is a map scale? And these are the vocabulary words that we will be encountering in our next slides. Now class, please repeat after me so you can still practice your reading skills and your speaking skills even if you're just at home. Are you ready now? Let's start reading. Number 1, large scale map. Number 2, small scale map. Number 3, map scale. Number 4, importance. And number 5, distance. So class, when you say large scale maps, these maps cover only a small area, but they show a lot of details from that area. So small area, many details. So this is the map of Boston and this is the map of Lawrence, Kansas. So you can see it's just a small area, but you can see many details like name of the streets and number of the streets and name of the road. Next, we have small scale map. Small scale map covers a large area but doesn't include many details. So large area, small details. So as you can see class, this one, it covers a lot of area or a large area, but it doesn't show us a lot of details. Next, we have map scale. So map scale is a statement of the relationship between distances on a map and distances in real life. So it is a drawing that is made according to scale, will be an exact copy of the real object, but will be smaller or larger than the real object. Next is importance. So when you say importance class, it means significance, consequence, weight, import, moment, prominence, eminence, value, distinction, and prestige. So when you say importance class, it means it's valuable, it's significant. The next word is distance. It means space, length, reach, gap, stretch, span, remoteness, interval, way, and aloofness. So distance class means the gap or the spaces in between places like Ave Maria and St. Joseph Building. What do you call the gap of these two buildings? Distance. So class, these are the words that can help us better understand our topic for today. So large scale map, small scale map, map scales, importance, and distance.
Everywhere, people are using maps on their phones, tablets, and devices like never before. Online maps are one of the ways people are experiencing GIS and they don't even know it. These GIS maps provide a window to a world of rich information, all in one map. GIS maps can also tell all kinds of stories. Stories to communicate a point of view, to narrate a historical event, or tour a new destination. Track and manage the status of your operations and activities with GIS maps, such as sales results by region or understanding the spread of disease. GIS maps are used to collect data, to create a constant flow of new features and record events and facts. One of the most remarkable aspects of GIS is its analytical capabilities. You can derive new information layers and discover hotspots of crime, identify the nearest fire station to a school, or find the best areas to set aside for conservation. This is why so many people are excited about GIS. Dynamic maps can display changes and events through time. You can track environmental changes while others can monitor population trends and demographic changes in a city. And there's no better way than viewing the landscape, cityscape, or any environment in 3D. All these maps bring GIS to life for everyone. They bring understanding and greater insight to help people manage operations, make better decisions, and communicate more effectively. Learn how to bring GIS maps to your organizations and communities. Start now.
So class, why do we need maps or why maps are important? So what do you need to get to a place you have never been to? A photograph? A photograph would make you know how the place looked like, but it wouldn't show you how to find it. The best thing you can do is to ask for a map. A map is really better than a photograph to find your way somewhere. So maps are very important, or we need maps to locate places, especially if we are not familiar to it. Next, we use map to tell us the right direction, and we use map class to navigate the place. Next class, let us study about scale. So scale, at the top or bottom of most maps, you will see map scales. So a scale on a map can be shown as a statement or a linear scale. So this is an example of a statement scale, word scale or written. So 1 inch equals 4 miles. Representative fraction, 1 is 250,000 or 1 over 250,000. We also have linear scale or bar scale, and this is the type of scale that we usually or we often see on maps. So it can be miles or kilometers.
In addition to using precise scales on a map, we sometimes use the term large scale and small scale when we are referring to maps and globes. It is important to note that those terms are relative. There's no magic number that makes a map a large-scale map or a small-scale map. Large-scale maps typically show a small area of the Earth, and thus can show a large amount of detail. Check out this map of soil types. There's a lot of detail. For example, you can see individual city streets on this map. Small scales, in contrast, typically show a large area of the Earth, and thus can only show a small amount of detail. Check out this world map. Not much detail, but you can see the whole world. Indeed, any map of the entire world is going to be a small-scale map. A map of California or Redwood City on the same size piece of paper would be a much larger scale map. When comparing two maps, you can tell which is the larger scale map by simply looking at each map's fractional scale. the map with the larger fractional or ratio scale is the larger scale map. Notice that I said the larger fraction, not the larger denominator. Fractional scales generally all have the number 1 on the numerator, and the numbers vary in the denominator. The larger fraction will be the map with the smaller number in the denominator of the fraction. Which of these two fractional scales here shows a larger number? Actually, I guess both of these scales are written as ratio scales, but remember, you can also write them as a fractional scale. 1 over 16,000 for the map on the left, and 1 over 190 million for the map on the right. So again, which of these two fractional scales depicts a larger number? Hopefully it makes sense to you that the map on the left has a larger representative fraction. 1 over 16,000 is a much larger number than 1 over 190 million. Thus, the map on the left is a larger scale map. Which of these maps is the largest scale, and which is the smallest? Perhaps consider which has the largest amount of detail to remind you which is the largest scale map. And also consider the representative fractions. Pause the video briefly to figure this out. Here's the answer. The map at the top here is the smaller scale map, and as you move down through these maps, they become larger and larger scale. You can see this by looking at the representative fraction. This is a smaller number, and the numbers get larger as you move down here to the different maps. Further, you can think about it in how much detail. There's not a whole lot of detail of Atlanta here, and as you get into a larger and larger scale, you can have more and more detail.
So class, let us study what is a map scale. So despite having lots of details, maps are still small enough to fit in your backpack. So this is because they are not drawn the same size as the area they represent. So in here, class, on the left side of your monitor, you can see a map key. So a map key composed of symbols that help us read the map easily. So in here, below the map, because map scale, you can usually see this one at the top or at the bottom of the map. So this one is a linear or bar scale. So a map has to show distance much smaller than it actually is. They are drawn to scale on papers. Then the scale shows what the distance on a map equals in real distance. So this is map scale, class. So we can see here small scale map to large scale. So this one is a representative or fractional scale. This one too, this one too, and this one too. We can also see here statement scale or written scale. And at the top, we have here linear or bar square. Class, there are two types of a map scale. Number one, large scale map. It shows a small area with lots of details. So it is like when you were looking down on an area from very close. So street maps and topographical maps are examples of large scale maps. So they show us very small area with lots of details. Now, a small scale map, it shows a large area with not many details. It is like when you were looking down on an area from very far away. So roads, rivers, or mountains would look very small. So the world map is an example of a small scale maps. Class, for the summary of the topics discussed, so importance of a map. Why are maps important? So first, what is a map? A flat model or layout of parts of the earth. Why are they so important? They keep people from getting lost. They allow you to find things. They allow you to keep track of resources. So what about map scales? So there are two types of map scales. They are small scale and large scale maps. So small scale, large area with little detail. Large scale map, small area with great or many information. Class, for your activity, please click the link in the Google Classroom to answer. So this is how it looks like. First, you are going to look at this map and then look at the questions, and you were given two choices, and click the choice that you have made. After you finish answering numbers 1 to 8, please click finish and click check my answers, screenshot your scores, and upload in social studies album in your line group. Good luck! Class, this is the end of our lesson already. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, or anything that you want to say, please feel free to send me a message in my line account, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Also, please do not forget your PA2 Term 3 on Friday. That will be December 3. Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much.